Welcome to episode 15 of Off the Cuff, where we answer your questions about Lego. If you have any questions for us, please put them in the comments below and we'll be sure to answer them next month. I'm Julia, thanks for watching. Today we're going to cover a number of topics, including the modular, the winter village, rebrickable instructions. We have a lot of things to talk about today. Okay. Alright, so our first question is actually about this little guy right here. Our gift with purchase last month was this little cute jack-o'-lantern. And we had a question about the light brick. It's made so that you can press it and the little light turns on, but is there a way to make it stay on?
You know, so when we first built it, we actually had Kiara build it. We didn't have her. She wanted to build it, so she built it, and she built it in such a way that when you push it down, there was friction when it got down to the low point, and it just stayed down, and then you actually had to pull it up. I then built the other face on it to see how it would look for our little review of the Halloween pumpkin, and now there is no friction holding it down. So I think the key would be to provide some way to, when you push it down, to have it stick through friction. The problem is, if you take a look at the brick itself, it is just the edge of a normal brick. It's smooth. There's no stud receptacle or anything like that that would allow you to set it up so that you would push it down and it would catch on like some sort of jumper plate or something like that, which would be nice. So you might be able to find like some other way to rig something. The problem is this is a pretty small set, and so you'd have to do a lot of stuff on the inside without affecting the exterior dynamic of the build. So maybe easier in other sets like a Winter Village set where you might be able to rig something to have it like, you know, you could push it down and have something fold across it to keep it depressed while, you know, you were playing with the set. But here it's kind of hard to do that because there's really no natural way. Unless, of course, you put some sort of friction, but, you know, that holds it in place.
Okay. All right, next question. Do you have instructions available on Rebrickable for your custom Chinese restaurant?
No. I wish I did. So every year we like to do a little building challenge where we take something that is not an official modular building and then spend 12 hours putting it into some sort of modular compatibility. And so last year we did the family reunion celebration set, which was part of the Lunar New Year. The year before that we did the Friends Downtown Flower and Design Shops. And it's a whole thing, like we'll watch Lord of the Rings, the kids will kind of pop in here and there and help build, you know, tile floors and things like that. But because we do it impromptu and without any sort of instructions or pre-planning, we don't make the instructions. And to go in, and this is just, I think, a feature of us being busy and not doing this full time. I just don't really have the time to go back and do that in a way that, you know, allows us to continue to put out other content as need be, or, you know, do our normal day jobs. So we don't have that. I'd like to do that. I'd also like to finish, honestly, my instructions for the custom music shop modular that I have almost done. I just have to go through and tweak a couple of things in it. So that's on the to-do list. But we do have 2 instruction manuals available, which are the custom guarded in that we built. So we built that in studio before building the actual thing, and then also we have our 3X Botanical Gardens.
Yep. Actually, there was a question about the Botanical Gardens. Someone wants to know, they've been hearing a lot of people talk about the Friends Botanical Garden being better than the New Ideas one coming out, and he wants to know if it's a nicer set or a nicer build or if it's more flexible. Like, what about it are people liking?
So I think people like a lot of things about it. Number one, it was the first Botanical Garden set to come out, so the first one always leaves a bigger impression on people's minds. It is an extremely well-designed set. We have it, we reviewed it, and then of course we built a supersized one. And I would say that it allows flexibility because you can buy like 2 copies of it and you can get a very substantive build that could be a modular compatible building. There are a bunch of instructions online on Rebrickable for that. Ours isn't modular, it's just a closed off version with 4 different wings and the huge dome. And so it's more like an actual doubling of it, which took basically 2 1/4, maybe 2 1/3 copies of the set. You probably could do it with 2 and then bricklink the rest of the parts now that they're more common, but when we did it, they were just hard to find online. So that's one reason why I think a lot of people like it. I think a lot of people also like it because it's just a really cool build, right? I mean, the little koi pond, you've got the tree. Yeah. I don't know, I mean, you spent some time looking at it, and all that. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, and not just the koi pond, but also like just the plants. It was cool to see like these different tropical plants and like the crazy pieces they were using to make these flowers and different plant parts happen. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
For me, I think the new one looks incredible, and I love the grounds. I think it looks way better, but I get the price point. For me, it would just be the price point. Like the new one is so expensive at $330 that's. I mean, most people can't afford a $330 Lego set. So if you're like just based on price, if you want a botanical garden, you can get the Friends one. But the new one looks incredible.
And perhaps the solution to that is if you can't afford $330, but you can afford $160 plus maybe $5 to $10 for instructions on Rebrickable, you could actually get a modular or really nice style botanical gardens combining two of them for about half the cost of the large ideas one. And so I think that's why a lot of people have done it. A third reason, maybe it's three, I don't know, losing track, but another is just because people saw the Friends Botanical Gardens and already bought a couple of them. And so they already have that in their collection. And so the ideas Botanical Gardens might be a bit redundant to their city or their display.
True. Okay, we have a comment from Dale Jr. He wants to know when Building Together merch is going to be available.
Is that my brother? My brother, hey Dale, glad to know you're watching. Do we have merch? Will we have merch? I don't know. I've not really thought about it all that much. Like, we have a logo, and I think we're kind of trying to do like a slight redesign of the logo as we get closer and closer to 10,000 subscribers. So maybe that's something we unveil at 10K. We're currently at about 7,800, so we've got a little ways to go for that. We don't pick up like tons of subscribers all the time. So, slowly but surely we're growing and getting there. So I would maybe do that. I'm actually working with a good friend of mine who does like a lot of production things and graphic design, and so like I've talked to him about possibly, just kind of tweaking some of that stuff to, make it a little bit more professionalized. So maybe when we unveil that, what kind of merch? Comment down below, like what kind of merch people actually like. I don't buy merch from YouTube channels, and I just don't know why anybody would buy our merch, but t-shirts, mugs, I mean, that's the typical things you see, right? Hats. I do like a good hat. Stickers, I know people do that, like decals and things like that. I don't know. It's not something, I'm not a huge entrepreneur and
I mean, Dude Perfect has a lot of really cool merch. They have balls, they have toothbrushes, they have all sorts of stuff.
They do, but they also have like 50 plus million subscribers. So we'll see. Maybe coming to a online store near here.
All right, next question. Why are injection points on bricks so prevalent now when it didn't seem to be an issue in the past?
I actually don't know if they're more prevalent now or less prevalent. I think that every time Lego makes a piece, they have to have an injection point. But I think the difference really is, for me, where that injection point is. There are places where you can hide that injection point so that you don't notice it all that much. And I think a good example is like maybe that are on the underside of pieces, or maybe right on the stud. And so it's something that's typically like covered up or not really all that different from the surface. The problem you run into is if it's on the side or if it runs counter to like a piece. I think a good example, and I used this in a video earlier, is when they first came out with the like 1x4x6 glass panels for windows, the injection point was like right in the middle of the window, maybe like a little bit above or below, but right there, and you could see it. You have the cafe corner, which, believe it or not, only I think $140 when it came out in US dollars. I mean, inflation, and all that since then. But you get this expensive set at the time. They don't have a lot of those out there. It's the first of the modular buildings, and you've got it proudly on display, and you're like, why is there a big dimple in the window? And every single window had that. So I think that's the problem that fans have had with it, is not so much that they exist understanding that, how Lego pieces are made, but it's where those dimples are. And that's going to affect the presentation of Lego and perhaps the quality, although I'm not sure that it would be something where it's like the weakest spot of a brick or something like that. Lego fans can be very, very picky in a good way. Pushes the company forward, and I like people that are able to do that and kind of like, okay, we can do a little bit better. Let's solve some of these problems, because every company, every group has problems and they need to kind of work past them. So that's one of those Lego I think has worked on somewhat over the past.
Our viewers want to know if they will see our Lego Winter Village this year.
Yeah, I think so. So we have them built. In fact, you can see we've got the new one over there. We've got, I think, some of the old ones a little bit off camera over here. So yes, I think the goal would be sometime after Thanksgiving. So a lot of them are at my parents' house because they have space. But also because like they have a little room, they have like it's white carpet which looks like snow, and the kids just set up the train, and we have hot chocolate, and we do all these kinds of things, and the kids kind of enjoy doing all that. So I think we're going to be doing that, and then we'll show you some of those outcomes.
Yeah, that's a really fun time we have as a family where we just are able to go over to his parents' house and include them in some of our fun Lego building and arranging and all of that. So we have a good time with that. It's kind of part of our Christmas season now.
Yeah, so coming soon.
All right, our final question. Can you tell us the latest on the new Lego Modular?
Oh, yeah. So originally there was this idea that it was going to be a residential building. And now it looks like it's going to be more like a bed and breakfast with a shop on the bottom, which would be really fascinating. It's interesting that it may have morphed that way in part because, not that it changed from one to the other, but just as the rumors get clarified, because it would be unique to have purely residential Lego modular buildings. Like every building that's had a hotel or a townhome or something like that has had some sort of commercial establishment linked to it. So this would be in keeping with that. Not that I'm opposed to having pure, just Lego residencies. I think that'd be fantastic. But that's in keeping with what Lego has done. I still think it's going to be a corner building. There's not anything that's like confirmed that, but I just look at the pattern. It's straight corner. That's been true, with the exception of if you include like the Bricklink Designer Program or the Marvel Modulars or the Market Street, which was Factory, which is a fan design set. So the official Lego Design Modulars. The other update is actually really fascinating, is that the release date, I think, has shifted from December 1st of this year to January 1st, 2025. I don't know if that's true. That's just the rumors that I'm hearing. And I think the rationale is last year's modular would have been released on January 1st, except that there was a problem, I think, with production or something with one of the other 18 plus sets. And so they pushed up the Lego modular for that year to December because it was already in production. And you can tell, like, some of these sets are in Lego storerooms before they're released. It's not like they, arrive hours before the store opens on the day of release. Sometimes they're weeks, if not a month or so in advance. And so Lego has the opportunity, if they need to, for some sets, not everything I'm guessing, but some sets, to push up that release date if they want. So that's the latest I'm hearing. I'm excited though for the modular, in part because it's always one of my favorite releases, probably my actual favorite release of the year. And because it's a corner building, and I think fans want more corners, because if you're setting up your block, it's hard to have just these long rows of buildings as you wait for more corners to be released. So I'm excited for that. One other thing I would add is I'm curious to see how it looks compared to the Friends Castle Bed and Breakfast. So if this is more of a bed and breakfast type place with a storefront on the bottom level, does it have that Victorian architecture, or does it go a completely different style? A lot of people really like that Castle Bed and Breakfast from the Friends line. In fact, there are some instructions to buy two of them and modularize it to add into your city. So I'd be curious how this looks compared to that. I'm skeptical it'll be that same architectural style, just because the idea of Botanical Gardens is also Victorian style, and so it's like, how much of that are you going to just pump out there? But maybe maybe there's demand for it.
You've said for a long time that the Friends line has really brought a higher level of building than your typical lines in Lego.
I think so.
And we saw that the Botanical Garden was so popular, and now all of a sudden they have an idea set that's almost the same style. So it would be really funny if they copied the Friends style in the modular.
Yeah.
Like, Friends is like the test garden. Like, how does this idea work? All right, let's take it up a notch.
Yeah, right. Like, okay, we'll go from a $100 bed and breakfast in the Friends line to a $220, $240 Lego modular. That's a corner building. So yes, it's going to be a little bit different. And I think like that would be interesting, because if you had, a $220, $230 modular building, it's not that much different from like two of the Castle Bed and Breakfast Friends. And so I think you might look at that as a, which one would I do? I mean, personally, I would go with the official modular building, but I can understand fans saying like, well, if I don't like that building, then I might go with this other one because I can do something that's, maybe more interesting to me. So yeah, that's always anticipated, and so we'll see. We'll see what that is. hopefully in early December. If it's a January 1st release, we should hear about it in early December. If it's a December 1st release, we'll hear about it in the next couple of weeks.
All right, cool. We'll be looking forward to that.
Yep.
All right, thanks for watching. Remember to comment below with any questions you have about Lego for us. We love answering your questions, so be sure to do that. Also, like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and always remember to keep building together.